My Lords, as I rise to speak on this bill, I declare my interest as an ambassador for Thames Hospice. But the views I express today are my own. And I say that I recognise that across this House there will be very firmly held views on both sides of this argument, some coming from real personal experience, as we heard from my noble friend, Lord Forsyth. But, my Lords, I oppose this bill, and I wish to set out my main reasons. First, I do not believe that the safeguards in this bill will prevent people from being pressurised to end their lives, sometimes for the benefit of others. I also worry that, as we have seen in countries where there is such a law, that people will feel that they must end their lives simply because they feel they are a burden on others. I worry about the impact it will have on people with disabilities, with chronic illness, with mental health problems, because there is a risk that legalising assisted dying reinforces the dangerous notion that some lives are less worth living than others. And again, as we have seen in other countries, once a law like this is passed, the pressure then grows to extend the scope of it. I also oppose it because I believe that in the absence of by disapplying the default of a coroner's report, there is a danger that this could be used as a cover-up. A cover-up for mistakes made in hospital, or for perhaps a hospital-acquired illness, infection, which has led to an increased likelihood of death. I have a friend who calls it the licence to kill bill. And finally, my Lords, this is not an assisted dying bill, it is an assisted suicide bill. As a society, we believe that suicide is wrong. The government has a national suicide prevention strategy. We bemoan the number of young people who are lured into committing suicide by social media and what they read on the internet. This week is World Suicide Awareness Week. Suicide is wrong, but this bill effectively says suicide is okay. What message does that give to our society? Suicide is not okay. Suicide is wrong. This bill is wrong. And in my opinion, it should not pass.
My Lords, as Lord Kamar has already pointed out, we in this chamber share the same goal, for people to die with dignity and compassion. They are critical concerns for those like me who believe that this bill is deeply flawed. You will know that I'm a former government chief nursing officer and I chaired the UK Bereavement Commission. But as a nurse, a priest, as a daughter and as a granddaughter, I have had the privilege to be with many people as they die. Most people die well, although, as we have heard and will continue to hear, that is not always the case, but most people die well. I have known people to experience some of the most valuable days of their life as it comes to an end, including those with terminal illnesses. As Baroness May has just pointed out, to change the law is to change society. Any law that introduces choice for a few is not limited in its effect to only that few. If passed, this bill will signal that we are a society that believes that some lives are not worth living. This bill would become our state-endorsed position, and our NHS would be active in its delivery. It is the role of this House to scrutinise, but there are no amendments to this bill that can safeguard us completely from its negative effects. I am concerned for those who will face internal and subtle pressure to end their lives in the absence of adequate palliative and social care, or to avoid being a burden to their families. I understand the fear of many that they may be offered free assisted death before they are offered the care and equipment that they may live. I am concerned that we are still in the dark about how this bill will be integrated into a struggling health and social care system, as the Delegated Powers Committee report has shown. I am concerned that the bill is unequal to the task of preventing avoidable deaths due to the existing problems of discrimination, inequality and abuse. I am deeply concerned that so many in this Parliament are not heeding the voices of professional and representative bodies that are raising the alarm. Above all, this bill fails in its central claim, that it delivers choice. A meaningful choice would see the measures in this bill set alongside equally available, fully funded palliative and social care services. Without the choice offered, this choice is an illusion. It may not be the will of the House to take the decision on the principle of this bill today, but I firmly hope that we will do that in the third reading. If it is necessary, I will table the amendment myself, so this House is given the same opportunity as the other place to decide. Until then, I have no doubt that the scrutiny given to this bill in the coming stages will make plainer its inadequacies. As we have heard, much of the debate is about fear. Fear of pain, of illness, of dependency, of loss of control. Being somehow unrecognisable to yourself and to others. But the challenge is that life is not something to be managed or limited when it becomes difficult. Life is often more than we can ever understand it to be. I believe in a God whose very being is life, and in that gift we can discover meaning, dignity and innate worth, even if we are dying. To speak of God is to speak of the one who never is indifferent to human fragility, but who holds it and tends it. And that is why I believe that there is always hope. Hope that what looks like an ending is not the last word. Hope that with proper care, support and research, dignity and compassion is still possible. It is this firm belief that compels me to resist this bill.
My Lords, whilst I respect the views of the Bishop of London, I speak in support of the bill, not only in support of the principle of assisting people to die with dignity, but also in firm support of the legislation before us. In my view, we're presented with a straightforward choice. Are we prepared to allow people in this country, faced with certain and imminent death, to choose how they die? I want that choice for myself. I would have wanted that choice for those close to me whom I have seen die in terrible agony. I want it for the 650 terminally ill individuals who take their own lives each year, for the thousands of terminally ill who attempt suicide each year, and for the roughly 50 who travel often alone to Dignitas each year, and for the many who die in pain each day, even with the very best of palliative care. I would ask each and every one of you to reflect on whether what you want for yourself you are prepared to deny to others the choice of how they wish to die. Who are we to deny others their right to choose? Denying choice represents a fundamental attack on the freedom and right of individuals to control their lives at that terrible time when they're dying. There are those who argue that they are not opposing the principle of assisted dying, they just want yet more time for yet more consideration of yet more changes. I have to say to my noble lords, I had 30 years in the House of Commons, and I have never seen such scrutiny, such openness to considering amendments, such attention to detail as I saw when watching the bill make its way through the House of Commons. We're deeply indebted to my honourable friend for Spen Valley for the collaborative and collegiate way in which she steered her bill through the Commons. Yeah. My Lords, we have ample time here to fulfil our role, to consider further amendments and to improve and revise the bill during the consideration of its processes. And sadly, I've come to the view that those who have tabled the motion to delay the passing of the bill are more committed to killing the bill than to improving it. For that, my Lords, would I fear be the inevitable consequence if we adopt the proposal to establish a select committee. My Lords, we're not elected, so in carrying out our duties, we must look beyond our own interests and views and listen to public opinion on this very personal and very sensitive issue. We know from the most recent surveys that nearly 3 out of 4 members of the public want us to make it lawful for an individual to seek assistance in dying in the UK. And we also know that nearly 4 out of 5 of those who live with a disability support a change in the law, and that 2 out of 3 respondents with faith also express support for the law. The time has now come to change this law. Across the world, jurisdictions are introducing laws to enable assisted dying. We should proudly be the standard bearers of this important societal change in Britain, and we should demonstrate by our support for this bill care and compassion for those who need it most, those who are coming to the end of their lives and dying.
Yes.
Declare an interest.